Focus on Liberia. We discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.
Achievements are not abstract. They form the foundation of a more stable market, a stronger currency, and a more predictable business environment. We also delivered the highest domestic revenue in Liberia's history, amounting to $847.7 million United States dollars. This exceeded our target by more than $43 million United States dollars. It demonstrates that when governance is disciplined, when leakages are closed, and when institutions are empowered, Liberia can finance a greater share of its own development. All of this was achieved during a year in which donor support was abruptly reduced. Many doubted our ability to withstand such a shock, and some even predicted collapse. Yet instead of faltering, we strengthened fiscal controls, tightened expenditure management, and ensured that essential services in health, education, and infrastructure were protected. We did not allow external distortions to dictate our destiny. We kept the country stable, preserved confidence in our institutions, and demonstrated that Liberia can stand on its own feet when discipline and resolve guide our actions. That resilience is not just a statistic. It is a true story of Liberia's progress, a story of a nation proving that setbacks can be transformed into opportunities for reform, self-reliance, and renewed trust in governance. This does not mean we are out of the woods. We are not yet where we want to be. But one thing is certain, that we are certainly not where we were 2 years ago. Today is better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better than today, and the day after will be better than tomorrow. My role today is to help the public understand how these commitments will be financed, how they align with the arrest agenda, and how they translate into more and better roads, more affordable goods, more jobs, and a more dignified life for every Liberian. This engagement reflects a new culture of openness in which government speaks plainly and welcomes scrutiny. We believe that public trust is earned through open conversation. As we proceed, I welcome your questions, your critiques, and your insights. Liberia is moving forward, and together we will ensure that the progress outlined by the president is not only seen, but also felt in every home, every market, and every community. We also welcome the comments and the statements that have come out from various stakeholders on the president's State of the Nation address. This shows the robustness of our democracy, and ordinary Liberians have been posting their various perspectives, and the traffic is huge, I'm told, on Facebook. And in this one, every Liberian wins. And through the clash and compromise of our ideas, we move to another level. And I'm a proud Liberian to know that we can differ in peace and not in pieces. And so let me now give you, honorable gentlemen and ladies of the press, the opportunity for engagement.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you, Mr. Minister. So the first question would be the critics of this government have said that most of the projects that we are doing are all rebranded inherited projects. How do you respond to things that the government is taking credit for projects initiated by the past administration?
Thank you, Mohammed. I said once that the projects that have been implemented are not projects for government officials. They're not projects for President Wakai, Minister Ngafuan, or any other minister or the legislators. They are projects for the Liberian people. And so it is the Liberian people that should ultimately be proud. We build more roads, the Liberian can go to Ghana and other places and boast about those roads. It's not a matter of who did what. Because if that is the case, about taking credit, I personally would take better credits. Better credits. I signed the $249 million agreement with the World Bank for the pavement of the road from red light to Ganta border. You constrain me to talk this. I shouldn't have talked it, but saying you asked, I have to say that. I signed, mobilized financing for the road from here to Buchanan under President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. When I was here in my first team, we started the Monrovia Harper Highway. I want to be fair. To move from Monrovia to Harper, there are two tracks. One, you go through Buchanan, and one, you go to Ganta. But why are we not talking about Monrovia Harper? We're talking about Ganta Harper. Is because we paved the road. We paved the road. And so our successor didn't have to be bothered. But we're talking about moving from here to Harper. You will not just jump from here. Maybe you have some witchcraft or other things you can do. Jump from Ganta and just start moving. So we made it, redundant, academic, that can be solved practically. And when we were here, when I was here before, we tackled that road. We tackled that road 2 prongs. While we were from Monrovia to Ganta, we started fish down to Harper. When I was here, and we mobilized the resources for the pavement, fish down to Harper. And you all know that. Before 2017. So should we say that it's EJS road? Is what Eddie Johnson said? Or Augustine Kpehe that plays some role, or Amara Conan that plays some role, or Boyma Kamara? Is it Boyma Kamara's road? Is it my road? Is it Eddie Johnson's road? Or the people's road? What is the issue about coming to say, my road, my project? I gave you this just today. Check on the Public Works Ministry website. The Public Works has an announcement on the website. I hope it's here. They are announcing that the road project from Barclayville to Saxtown and Cloney, I think more than 50 kilometers, that started, that conceived under the CDC government, agreement signed, prior to no movement, some movement started. It is just being the ECOWAS bank through whom, or through which the road is being financed, will be financed. They just got a no objection for the Bay evaluation report for that road. We put money in this budget. We put money in this budget to pay EBIT so that they can continue. When I came in as minister, one of the first things I inherited was an EBIT delegation telling me that government was defaulting on paying its obligation. Then we unlock that. So we could come as a government and say, you know what, this road is in the southeast. Or is it for Easterners that are Nigerians? We could say, why did we jump into Barclayville and we jump over Sino, we jump over Riverside and went Barclayville to Sasta and Barclayville to Connect? We could make an argument, we didn't make it. It's on course. So you say, whose project? Liberian people's project. Like the people who live there are Liberians. That's why even when we came, why are we focusing, putting more money on this, the Ganta, Apaha, dimension? You know, the issue about regimes. I give you this. Sorry, I've been long-winded on this, but it's necessary. If you had done the road, we wouldn't be constrained to do it again. What do I mean? If the road was done, because we took it from here to Ganta, that is an incontrovertible fact. And we probably did from Fishtown to Harper. So that was the thing we left. Did you do it? Did you complete it? To get us burning and to getting a new bush and find new road? Did you do that? So are we saying because you went and touched the road too, we should say that the road is cursed because you touched it? It is not. It is the Nigerian people's road. And so this government will complete. The electricity access. You know, people talk about electricity, Our electricity access rate just under 30% when we came in. So we invest in electricity. So you say, oh no, we have solved all the electricity problem. You solve all the electricity problem when less than 30% of Liberian people have access. Development goes incrementally. I gave you this example. Assuming the target of the country is to build a 10-story building. Regime 1 starts with a foundation and does floor 1, floor 2. Regime 2 comes in and does floor 2, floor 3, and floor 4, or let's say floor 5. Regime 3. Should we come and say, oh, you know what, because these people touch the road, touch their building, it's cursed, we should leave it? Huh? So, regime 3 can do floor 5 to floor 10. That's the Liberian people's building. This issue about regime, people's accounting, don't do it because you will lost that game. You lost that game. Because I could come and say, Honor Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, one foreign minister, I signed a $60 million agreement for the ministerial complex. Why did you touch it? Huh? Or we could come and say too, under the past UP government, we started the conversation about the overpass bridge. We did. We were not planning ministerial complex, we were planning an overpass bridge. It didn't end with us, right? Commitments were made, but the agreement was signed on you, it should have been delivered. And because it was not delivered, we should say now, because you touch it, that is the crime? No. We're ending it. As I said the last time, like the hospital, the new redemption hospital. That project started 2016 when excess Ebola money mobilized by the government. Each time I go to the World Bank, the vice president of the World Bank, Mr. Diagana, he raises this project as one of the longest, the most delayed project in his portfolio. Since 2016. That project should have been delivered in 4 years or 5 years. It should have been, it started on the past UP government. It should have been delivered and dedicated by 2020 or 2021. It wasn't. It came to us and it will soon be dedicated. So now people will say, whose project? As I said, There were a lot of times regimes will pass the ball. We pass you balls. You have to score some on the ball we pass you. You score something, we appreciate it. Some you didn't. And so some of those balls we pass to you, we meet and come right back to us, we'll score a goal. We'll score a goal. And so there's not an issue of who's regime. You know, it is for the Liberian people. And that's what we're focusing on.
Great, thank you so much. My name is Tony Roberts, friend, First Interaction. Thank you so much again. Political leader of the Economic Reaction of Congress and his comments has some critique. In his remark, he said another message that quota will eat in this coming free form of oppression. If that quota will eat, suggesting that all of the road projects along don't address the immediate threat or concern of ordinary Nigeria. At the same time, he called for improved farm to market roads. In your own way, how do you respond to this?
I follow the press, but sometimes I get very busy. And so I already doubt, sorry for that. I already doubt that the Honorable Alexander Benedict Cummings already made that comment. I already doubt. It's not that I don't trust you, but sometimes, I already doubt. Because to say to the Liberian people, a quota will eat, I want to see that in text. Look, when we did a consultation for the formulation of the arrest agenda for across the country, countrywide consultation, and we're asking the Liberian people for the topmost, their number one priority, we went all across, including Maryland County, including Maryland County. And you know what people said? The top priority, road dominated everything. For number two, there was competition between education and health. If the people in Bobolu City hear this, no, I don't think that statement was made. If the people in Lofa, I was just there, you go and talk to the people from city to city, from Salaye to Zozo, to Konya, to Vonjaman, to Kulahun, to Foya, to Baum, you ask them, it's the road. The road. And the best form of road is quota. And to trivialize, to devalue, and disregard the people's priority. I don't think that statement was made. I really doubt it. And to say that a quota will eat. Let me say this. People talk about the bread and butter business. That's why I decided to have this engagement. How do you address the bread and butter issue? Road connectivity is critical to the bread and butter question. I just gave you this ABC example. And I'll repeat, it's an ABC example. So ABC example. Think about the road you heard last year that NTA buses were moving from here to Harper, right? NTA buses moved from here to Vonjima in the rainy season. The road, part of the road from here to Harper paved, some not paved, but it's improved as a result. People used to spend 1 week sometimes passing through Africa coast. Do you know the cost of travel to the southeast? Time is money. If you are a contractor working for daily wages and you are traveling to your parents in Maryland and you have to take 1 week, you know the cost to you? So the money now, because you can go in a day, the money you have saved, the money now, because of lower NTA buses going there, the money you have saved, you know what you want to do with it? You want to buy bread and butter. You want to buy bread, more bread and more butter. So you doubt the connection between roads, hotel roads, and bread and butter issue. So until we're saying that I don't want to be doing this thing. So until we buy bread, first of all, loaves of bread, and then butter, then we establish a ministry of bread and butter. Then we're having addressed the bread and butter issue. One of the consideration I would get the president. Should we establish a ministry of bread and butter? Do we know what it means for you to have electricity? Let me give you this. Because of the improved road condition between here and the southeast, more farmers brought their goods to market. They brought goods. They're not getting ratted again. Huh? They're bringing food. They're actually bringing us food to eat. And their income, trade, commerce. One of the things that has impacted inflation, is lower agricultural the prices of domestic agricultural products. They're not in the basket because the Monrovia, the basket, the CPR basket was millet skewed towards imported goods. Now our products are coming from our farmers. So they understand it in a margin. So some people doubting the inflation number. So all these things connect. So I respect the Honorable Alexander B. Cummings. We cross paths in a lot of professional ways. The political space, the political leader, I respect all political leaders, and I respect all the comments. But roads remain the topmost priority, and we invest in those things because when we invest in all those things, the convergence of the investment impact is that they address the bread and butter issue. Thank you.
Minister of I'm Bartlett for in his third annual message to members of the people the President Walker announced that the government created 70,000 short and medium term jobs. Critics doubt that number. Not only did they doubt it, they split the claim. How do you respond to that?
Well, you are used to people just doubting things you put out there. In 2024, when we put out the $880 million budget, the critics doubted. Go back to your place. They didn't think it was possible. You remember that? And last year, when the president submitted a $1.2 billion budget, the critics doubted it. They didn't think it was possible. The job of critics is to criticize. And I think they're doing a job well. Our job is to work. We are needed in this Liberian democracy. The president said in the coding verbatim, job creation remains our top priority remains the top priority for my administration. Our job creation strategy has focused on addressing the binding and structural constraints to growth, including investment in roads and energy. People don't understand the link between investment in road and job creation and what they don't understand. Some people don't understand. I don't say people don't understand. Some people don't understand. Why are we investing in energy? We've been declared eligible for our second MCC compact. Energy was the focus first. That's why we have the agro-electric plant. It's the main source of our power, but we stay short. The MCC team was just here, and we have chosen energy again because the access rate is just is under 40%. We came with merit just around 30, it's around 39%. Our ambition in the Liberian Energy Compact is between now to 2029 to climb it up to more than 75%. So we put more money there, And so what does that do? And that gave you a small little thing about jobs. When the main cost driver for businesses, huge the amount of money they spend to maintain power or electricity. If they don't have light supplied by Nigeria Electricity Corporation or the National Grid, more likely they will buy their generator and get fuel. Think about the cost. When you ask many small businesses and say, what is your biggest cost you deal with? They will tell you the cost of power. When we make it cheaper, when we make it affordable, you know what we're doing? We're reducing one of the major costs, expenditure items. And so when expenditure reduces, what happens? To find profit. And profit is the difference between revenue and expenditure. So when you reduce expenditure, what happens? Profit. And when you get profit, when you start thinking about expansion, and when you're spending, when you start thinking about hiring people, you will not see the link. And the people you hire, what do they do? You will pay them. And when you pay them, what do they do? They'll buy bread and butter. They'll buy bread and butter. So the bread and butter thing, we start with the structural constraints to growth. Maybe they want too big. Talk about structural. They call them problems, the big details. Structural, binding constraints to growth. If we don't address all the main problems that are hindering growth in this country, all the things we're doing will be scratching on the surface. If we want big companies to come and operate profitably, we have to solve the power question. And that's what we're doing. So there will be all the what I call short-termism and the argument here and there, but you journalists should look beyond. So, coming back to the issue, in 2 years, so that the president says short and medium term, in 2 years, I get one of my assistant ministers here, he knows how to attack problems. And he said something yesterday that was very good. He said, "Papa, understand this." He asked a question, he said, "You know what? When they tell you that you can eat elephant, you say, no, I can't eat elephant too big." But everyone can eat elephant, you call it into pieces all the time, you eat the elephant, right? I'm very sorry about I'm borrowing from the concept. Think about it, 2 years divided by, on average, 2 years, it's 35,000 per year. Huh? He did a little formula. How many counties? That'd be rough. 15 counties. Huh? So each county for 2,000. 2,000. Huh? 2,000, more than 2,000 jobs per year. So we doubt short term, we doubt that we cannot do that. And people say, "It's not possible." It's not possible. What do you mean? In fact, they haven't even accounted for last year, just this ministry, interns, 277 interns. Without even accounted for. Too many ministries have not even accounted for their short-term or medium-term job creation effort. But one thing I'm able to concede, and on this one, I will agree with I usually call him my predecessor, my friend and brother Samuel Duotwe. I love to call him Samuel Duotwe because I love my middle name. I don't like initials. So people call me Augustine Kpehe Ngafuan. You don't say Augustine K, right? So I'm saying Samuel Duotwe because I have enough to call people. He also be called Samuel. Some people call him Samuel Duotwe. From our early days, I call him Samuel Duotwe. He knows that. So for you guys that will be confused, let me give you this environment. He said something in an interview that I agree with. And when they asked him about job creation during his era, he put his hand out. He was very honest about that. He said the capacity we need to do better with the Ministry of Labor and the legislators and others in building our ability to track better systems for tracking job creation. And that's why we started. Have we achieved it? I will be the first to say no. There have been some rough job trackers, but we're investing in it so that the country can get better and more robust job creation numbers that you all can get. So we're working on it. I learned fully with my predecessor on that one, and we're working on it. But to that 70,000 short-term jobs, in 2 years, this country, no, we're better than that.
Minister, you mentioned when you were speaking earlier that our reserve grew by over 100 million. So how much is now in the laboratories account abroad? And should we be fearful someday that we're going to take some money from them to do mapping?
Well, I don't want to interlope into the central bank governor's territory. In the economy, we are seeing mixed twins here. The monetary side, the fiscal side. Now I'm a fiscal person. I grew up in the central bank. I wear my other hat again. But that'll be unofficial now. But I wouldn't talk too much. But I always say that the reserves of the country are meant to be reserves. And when you start getting the reserves for consumption, all these things, then you undermine the reserves. The reserve cover should be able to support, I think, 3.5 months of input. There's a technical formula here. So it affects even the currency, the stability of the dollar. But I'm not talking as a monetarist here. So I'm a fiscalist and keep me in my zone.
Minister, the president in his annual message mentioned about submission of the supplementary budget to the legislation. And many want to know, this is the first time in many years, why now? Why the supplementary budget? And secondly, there is this rise in public debt, and it appears that the country is at risk. Can we say Nigeria is at risk because of the public debt?
Well, let me deal with the debt question first, then I'll come to the supplementary budget. Our debt stock, as announced by the president, is about $2.8 billion US. The external debt, meaning what we owe the World Bank, other multilaterals, and external creditors, is about $1.6 billion. And domestic debt is about $1.2 billion. 1.2. Roughly the size of a budget invested. So when people come, sometimes they come with that, oh, government owes me, and I think we just pay. I think, you know how many other people government owes? You know, so but we're dealing with, and there's an analysis that is done, and on debt thresholds. You get something called, there's an indicator called the debt to GDP ratio. Nigeria's debt to GDP ratio is about, I think, 56%, if I'm not mistaken now. And in that zone, you'll be considered moderate risks of debt distress. Moderate. And if you hit 60%, then it becomes high risk of debt distress. In below 50%, coming down, we're in the low rates of debt distress. We're in low rates of debt distress. We had a situation where when President Eddie Johnson said came in, our debt to GDP ratio was actually above 700%. 700%, unsustainable. Now we couldn't borrow. That's how we had to get on the heavily indebted poor countries initiative and have to meet triggers, every decision point, completion point. Some of you were around, and we had almost $5 billion debt, waived under that initiative, thereby giving us the credibility to start to take loans again. When I was here in my first team, for the most part, from 2006 to 2010, the thing we're talking about loans, we couldn't take it. We ran a cash-based balanced budget because Nigeria had lost its credibility. So we had to restore it. Now it's being restored. We've been taking financing. And sorry, because this is an engagement, sometimes we want to be able to educate. Debt on its own is not bad. Debt is neutral. It depends on the purpose for which, on which you are using the debt. Because many of you here wanting to build or to expand businesses, you think about going to take loans. Technically, you want to go take debt. If you go to a bank, they gave you, the loan. Depending on how you use it, the loan you take will make you richer. But if you went and use it loosely, it will make you poorer. It will make you to get into, it will jail you. So debt is neutral. It's how you use it. So when you have a debt, don't just have this, as I said, we shouldn't demonize debt. Debt is neutral because that's why there's some debt you must take, especially when the debt is going for development. Because there's some analysis we do. We talk about the economic rates of return. If it's going to help you more to expand GDP, I usually talk about this little math. Debt to GDP ratio is one main indicator people look at. So if you take debt, and as a result, the economy expands. When the economy expands, it means GDP expands. So the debt to GDP ratio is a quotient. Yeah, you get a numerator, you get a denominator. If you take, assuming you take plus 5 debt on the numerator, and because of plus 5, the denominator is going to increase by plus 10. So the net effect, the quotient is going to reduce because the bottom there, the GDP has increased. So that debt helps you to even bring down the debt to GDP ratio. So it can just be demonize debt. Debt is neutral. And that's why we're implementing something called a prudent debt management strategy. There. A lot of technical analysis that is done here to ensure that we remain in limits. You asked another question about supplementary budget. Okay. For us to even be talking about supplementary budget today, at this point, I just want to rewind us to last year, around, let's say, March, April, and that you all were carrying some stuff. Go and check your papers and check your clips. The doomsday prophets were prophesying that the sky was about to collapse. When you say pull out, we had a major shock, second largest donor were left high and dry, but due to prudent fiscal management led by the president, the entire team, tighter fiscal controls, while protecting education, health, and infrastructure, we weathered the storm. And revenue was impacted from the beginning, and some people started to predict budget shuffle. And I said, if you all can remember, I said we are working. And we are working tooth and nail, and by the grace of God, we will succeed. And because I used the word God, for some people that was a crime. And they started calling me prayer bank economist. And I said, I like that name because after I started in prayer bank. To be frank, I'll give you guys the story, true story. Everything I do, I go to God. So if people are godless, they don't talk God, but they love US dollars on which they is stated in power trust. So we work hard and we pray to God. And we ended in a difficult year. We hit target. We got a little surplus. And we're confirming there are some delay payments, that from 2025 that are coming in, and we'll submit a supplementary budget. We say about recast. Supplementary budget. We're going to supplement the $1.2 billion budget adopted. So, in God we trust. Yeah. Thank you.
Minister. Thank you. I'm concerned about the border issue. And I welcome the real border issue, which is rights. Okay. Then the president said juristic confirmation rights was issued under the agreement 14.5. If you look at our hostile environment, price will true. Because on the day the president making a statement, unfortunately for me, I didn't go to work, I went to the market. So look at my yard, 14 Africans in our account on the why you get the voice yourself? You got to put the rest, for that amount. So I shouldn't want to know how realistic is the price announced by the president compared to the one in the market. I feel like very people have to see because there are two different figures around. Like that's when price fluctuate because he does issue now. So I intend to address it so that Liberia cannot be conflicted by price control in terms of rising of the
Well, the Ministry of Commerce will give details of that. They're responsible to monitor and to check things. The official price will differ for many reasons. Sometimes the further you go, people factor the transportation costs, and the further you go, the price will change. But there's an official price. Some people will be doing that for some other reasons. I don't want to, differ with you, but that's the price, and that's the prevailing price in many places. So I'm very certain that my colleague, the Minister of Commerce, and the team there will check and to see, but that is the price officially, and that exists in most of the places. So if there are places that is not a reality, Commerce will check on it and deal with it. But we have to expect that in parts of Liberia, because of other costs that the wholesalers and the retailers are rather incurred, they will put something in to recoup their costs.
Okay. Honorable Minister, thank you. My name is David Yates, and I write for the Daily Observer newspaper. Recently, your ministry came under attack for totally removing former ministers' pictures and among former ministers.
What you said?
I said recently, your ministry came under attack for reportedly removing Minister 12 pictures from the wall, among other pictures. How true is it?
Well, Dave, thank you for asking that question. This is a toy that I have a common history. We shall respect. We have common friends. In fact, Toy's brother Norris is a good friend of mine. We're at the University of Liberia. We're grown in that crucible. We differ. I was on one side, he was on one side. But we feel that we go shopping because of the, we're men. We're men. Some of them are here. It was never out of hate. It was never out of hate. And the fact that Samuel Doe served this country for 6 years, a historical fight. Whether anyone likes it or not, that's a historical fight. You cannot be revisionist. And so when I came in, one of the things I noticed was the picture of Oema Kamara, whom I took over from, and that of Samuel Tour were not on the wall. And I told my folks, we have to put the pictures on the wall. And they did. The pictures have been on the wall all along. We are very busy people, especially when it comes to border preparation, December, and all that stuff. We don't sleep. Sometimes we don't have weekends because, as I told you, sometimes in those seasons, our weeks don't end. So that place there is a place of traffic. Someone might have hit the picture, and something happened. I think they hit the pictures, and Wema Kamara's picture fell, and Samuel Tue's picture fell. Two pictures fell, and our folks, while they were working on stuff, making sure that we get a stronger frame and doing that stuff, someone went and noticed that the pictures are on the wall and the road. And I really appreciated that they even brought it to our attention, to be frank. The only thing is that they started to, impute motive. The motive, thinking that, outrage, that Mr. 12 and a made statement, and I know 12 said they didn't believe that. I know he didn't believe that. We would be so vexed and go and say, no, we have nothing to do but to go and take the picture. What would that do for us? And then they started talking about, and nobody talked about Weimar. Weimar picture fell. Weimar is, at army there, doing well for this country. But in all that stuff, it's like Weimar was not a former minister. Weimar picture fell. Where did Weimar? No one talk about Weimar. Oh, the Weimar picture fell too. And so when we noticed it, immediately we instructed, and the picture went up. The pictures are up. So there was no motive. No motive. It was regrettable. And I said again, it's a historical fact that Samuel Tuer served this country for 6 years as Minister of Finance, and no one can blot it out of history. Thank you.
My name is Prince Sa, and I report for the newspaper. Honorable Minister, the President on Monday reported improved revenue performance. What are the main drivers of this growth, and how sustainable is it?
Well, he cited the mining sector, one of the main sectors that contributed to the growth, agriculture and services. But besides that, improved what we call tax administration, efficiency in tax collection. One of the strategies we put in motion to deal with the shock that we experienced was to close leakages, try to be more efficient in tax collection. We started to digitize systems, and it's getting more and more of the future. When you take away manual interventions, you improve the credibility of collection. So, and that started hugely last year, it's going to increase this year. And some of our projections that we have made, are informed by all of those things. And the credibility of the country has improved. More and more people looking at Liberia to see our country moving forward. And let me say this, maybe I'll say at the end. Let me keep it at the end. So we are working with all the revenue generating entities. We have empowered them in the budget. We're taxing them to do more. And we have regular meetings with the LRA and other revenue generators. Mr. Golo is here, working under Mr. Myers, but he's the point man responsible for tax policy. They work, and sometimes days, they don't sleep. So one of the reasons why we could achieve that is because days, Golo, many persons, Double Jara, the team at LRA, many of us don't sleep. Because they don't sleep, that bureau can sleep. I say, and that it's in strategy, strong team, and I like the coordination between all the managers of the economy. Central Bank is doing its part, working in coordination with us, and we are backstopping each other. And so it's that synergy that is helping the entire economy.
Minister, there are some Nigerians who are still skeptical about implementing its promises, especially things containing the arrested and nothing. What do you say?
Well, sometimes it's good to have skeptics, right? Skeptics are not bad. They help you too. They keep you on your feet. So that's why we do not fault anyone for criticizing. Sometimes the criticism will be fair, sometimes it will be unfair. But they can criticize, you learn from it. We did not come here, the president doesn't say, and we at the Ministry of Finance, we're not paragons. You know, we are humans and we listen. We every day trying to improve. Is that humility, you know, and professionalism that we have adopted. We don't say that anything said outside there is nothing but verbiage. We listen. My team, we're always in a situation room and we're concerned. That's why we have even used to put right down there near the elevator, we have suggestion boxes. You know, we listen to people. And some of the things, sometimes we take cues for some of the things some writers, you know, our Facebook calls, you know, we have Facebook economists, give me some good ideas, you know. Yes, we take, we share, we react. So we're not vexed with what people say. Sometimes it will be fair, sometimes it will be unfair, but let them continue. It helps our democratic credentials. Yeah.
Thank you, Minister. I'm Nelson Kpehe Ngafuan. I have two concerns, and the first one has to do with how current the salaries of civil servants are. I remember we had series of engagements here last year, and you emphasized that salaries are current across the country, across the different sectors. But then at the last part of 2025, in December, I remember specifically, there were concerns, especially from the legislature, that some of the staffers didn't get the salaries. I remember they even had some sort of protest or whatever at some point. What can you say about that with respect to the currency of the salary? Then my second question, quickly, has to do with the everyday activities of the average Liberian citizen. I don't know if this has come to the attention of the those controlling the fiscal and monetary policy of the country, but whenever an average Liberian takes, for example, he wants $5 worth of electricity, you take Liberian dollars to the vendor or whatever, you are asked to add extra amount, giving the current rate, you add extra amount, maybe sometimes $150 or $100 extra. In the case of the scratch cards, if you want to buy a scratch card, you have to add extra amount despite you having the actual value of the $1 or whatever in Liberian dollars. What can you say about that? Has that also come to the attention of the ministry?
Well, you know, that tells you some realities that the Ministry of Commerce and the government will have to deal with. People who take advantage of situations, and you are in the press, you are partners in progress, and price stability is merely a function of central bank. On the fiscal side, we support that, and the Ministry of Commerce monitors. So largely that shouldn't happen, but I think that there will be actions through effective monitoring so that our people are not taken advantage of. In the market, there will be wholesome people performing wholesomely, and there will be people with unwholesome intentions that may do things against policy. So government will have to continually monitor and make sure that his intentions are not being deviated from in the field. So I'm very certain that some of our colleagues from the Ministry of Commerce are listening, and there is a call to all of them. We are the Ministry of Finance. Sometimes we get some issues and we transmit it to them, and other sector leaders to take some actions. And that's what we are doing and we do.
And then the first question on the salary issue.
Well, the salary. Oh, okay. On the salary issue, you know, we've been largely correct with salary payments, and we're serious about that. You know, one of the things that we are dealing with is more and more people are being migrated on the payroll. More than 3,000 volunteer teachers, health workers have come. And you see, there was an argument, even in the budget process, why personnel costs went up. And I started to force personnel costs will go up. Government services are expanding. Even in this year's budget, we are taking up the pay burden of the workers at ELW hospital, because that hospital was on the brink of closing because of financial difficulties. The president intervened and the government had to establish it. You could say it's a private hospital, but given how critical it is to Monrovia and the urban population, we cannot sit idly by. So the government of the Republic of Liberia will start to bankroll the salaries of ELWA nurses and health workers there. So at the tail end of the year, some entities overshoot their personnel budget. Some entities. And then we have to reconcile. And dealing with the tail end reality caused some issues. Some of them have to be supplemented. We have to take money from some other places to give to them in order for them to deal with the salary challenges. I don't want to go in details here because I'll be naming and shaming. So when all that will happen is that finance hasn't paid. But if you operate within the scope of your budget, it's not an issue. But some overstep. And then the CSA, working with the CSA and others, we have to solve the problem. Also, there was a migration problem. We're migrating to a new payment system where some of the people were getting Liberian dollars 100%. The new system requires, because we pay 70% US dollars, 30% Liberian dollars. And it was meant to give them hard currency instead of 100% Liberian dollars, where they are subjected to the exchange rates 100%. Now the new system to help them, the 70% should be US dollars. Unfortunately, some of them, the time to establish the US dollar account took some time. And so in dealing with the situation, we did some emergency thing where we had to revert to Liberian dollars so that some people got paid. Some in that process, we didn't exhaust. There was a group of people that did not get, we didn't finish with them. But the controller tells me that we're almost done. So it was not a problem of lack of money. But I think everything is stabilizing now. And these government workers will now have 70% US dollars and 30% Liberian dollars instead of being subjected to 100% Liberian dollars, and be subjected to 100% exchange rates. Although the rate has stabilized largely, thanks to what we're doing in conjunction with Central Bank, but we want to be able to have all government employees. We can have many persons getting 70% US dollars, 30% Liberian dollars, and then people in the education sector getting 100% Liberian dollars. So the intention was good. The implementation has been taking some time, but we are reached a point where we can say that it's almost finished.
Just a quick follow-up. What is Liberia's current wage bill, and what's stopping us from using a single currency?
Well, that single currency debate is a long debate. Before there's something about de-dollarization, all that stuff. It has its own side, positives and negatives. And one of the features here, people tell people that one of the things that when people are selling Liberia out there, they say we get dual currency. And you can use US dollars. So investors like that. Some people say, okay, but it creates complication and blah, blah, blah. So everything has its good side, everything has its bad side. That's a debate Central Bank is leading on. I don't want to interlope too much in Central Bank's territory. But I call on, before we were at the university, the Economic Student Association and others. Those are debates that they were calling. You know, I have some professors here. They teach, although they work with us, but I tell them, encourage your students. These debates, it cannot just only be politics. You know, nowadays, we debate a lot of stuff. So these are debates that the press people should come to. ISA, ASA, and all the SARS, and all the universities, to take on some positive issues and we'll support it. And I gave a current call to all these universities around here, to the extent that you can take up topical issues, take them up. The ministry will support some of those things. Let the conversation get professional. Everyone is so vested in politics, but as a result, the substance of issues sometimes, we miss it. So,
let's see. Okay, my name is Obed Jivari from KM Radio. Minister Ngafuan, I'm privileged to ask the last question, and I will basically just ask you. Donor support reduced last year. How did the government manage to keep it afloat? And my second question, which I want you to be honest and realistic to the ordinary people. This much talk about 2 years of a stronger economy and inflation. How is it translating into tangibles for the ordinary people in the rural parts of Nigeria?
It's good to see you. Quite frankly, I've been so busy since I came. I've been getting the college call. But thanks for your contribution. But you were saying that inflation and tangibles for people, rural people. No, most people in rural areas, they are productive people. How is it translating? Everything the government is doing is translating gradually. And let me put it this way. Do I say, and that's why we say, do I say that all the problems have been solved? No. No. If we say that all the problems have been solved, then we underestimate the magnitude of the problem. No. Let's be honest. We are saying in 2 years, we've made significant progress. But I will compare this thing to adjoining to Banga. Sorry, I got some Banga people here, so I'm not trying to pick on you. If you are there, Zoom, our AARD target is that in 6 years, or now 4 years now, we should reach Banga. Like we have some targets in the AARD. We want to reduce multidimensional poverty from 45% to about 36%. We want to take the country to a lower middle income status. GDP per capita of $850 to about not less than $1,050. That is a 2029 target. So what happens is a journey. So we've gone 2 years. And sometimes people create an impression that we are a 6-year regime, and they juxtapose our performance against 6-year government or regimes. In other ways, we're very well. 2 years versus 6. It made it look like, what is a 6-year journey? So think about it. If you're on a path to Banga, and your destination is Banga in 6 years, right? In 2 years, you estimate that you want to be a salad. In 2 years, you want to be a salad. So, I know Filala is beyond salad, right? You guys know this movie. So, Filala. Okay. So, I'll just make it an example. We are at Frelala. Although we wanted to be at Salada. But have we reached Banga? No. So, we haven't reached Topical yet. So, detractors will come and say, let me tell you the whole thing about critics and what have you. The journey we haven't traveled Don't come and say you haven't reached that. But they will say we have reached that. Huh? No. They don't count from red light to red light. And we should have been on satellite, we haven't gone beyond satellite. So they do what I call the exception. They talk about the exception. The thing you haven't achieved, they downgrade all you have achieved. It's like you take a test, okay? A 10-question test. And you pass 8. You fail 2. What's the percentage? 80%. But you know, the critics, they know their job. And then they will zoom on the 2 you failed. And make it look like you have failed 8, you wouldn't pass 2. That's their job. And they're doing their job. It's our job to say we pass 8. So there will always be exceptions. There will always be things that we need to do better. That's why you guys are there for the press to say, oh, this other one has not happened. But we don't say we have reached destination. But one thing is clear, we're not realizing. Some will want to make it to feel that nothing has changed. The road to Ghana is a journey. It's a journey. It's a development journey. And can anybody, clear eyed, full total way, go and look themselves in the mirror? God, nobody here allowed to say that no progress has been made in 2 years. Therefore, all the debates here. Go and look yourself in the mirror. You can get laughed to the guy you see there. You can laugh to that guy. Progress has been made. So you could pinpoint things. I will end on this note. Because you can zoom in on the negative and make it so large and make the exception to look at the reality. The first time I went to the US years back, everybody glamorized America, right? Somebody told me and said, I wouldn't call the city because of my friends that stayed in the city. Somewhere, they come and see America. I went to New York, I went places, Michigan, Minneapolis, Chicago. I went to somewhere, someone said, come and see something. I went on a street and I saw dirt on the street. And I don't want to tell you the other thing I saw on that street. I took pictures. Then I came back to Nigeria. I could do something. I could go and take that picture of the dirt. Say, this is your America. What? I would be unfair. Because I would be zooming on the negative. But I saw that street, but I also saw New York. I also saw Chicago. I also saw Minneapolis. So you want to find negative? You will find. The US we're talking about, it says the world best economy. Follow the news. You want to find negative? They are negative. Liberia, you want to find negative here? You'll find. And President Barker doesn't say that all of Liberia's problem has been solved. That's not what we claim. No. That's what I continue to say. I don't know whether you have any more questions. Yes. Okay. Because I continue to say that we are not where we want to be yet. But we are not where we were yesterday. Because today is better than yesterday. And tomorrow will be better than today.
Honorable Minister, my name is Anthony Williams. I'm from State Radio. In President Boakai's Sona, he did mention the restoration of national infrastructure, including the laying out of major cities across the country. He also did mention the restoration of old structures and buildings. He also did mention the relocation of the Palm Grove Cemetery. I'm more concerned about how we intend to finance these projects and sustainability and timely completion of them.
Well, the budget process is dynamic. That's why, you don't have a crystal ball to be able to predict all the things that will happen. So we also have partners that we're dealing with. We're dealing with partners, bilateral, multilateral, but the budget process can react to these things. So the president made a commitment, and the commitment will be appropriately resourced.
Yeah. So maybe, this was in the president's report. He said he talked about establishing the planning department, and we are concerned about that also because we have planning commission.
also because we have many Ministry of Finance here, have many departments and also Liberians are concerned about the money coming along to establish a particular commission. How do we form that particular commission when we also have a many departments here at the mission?
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.